Hello and welcome to this beautiful rose garden. Here is the location of my this latest playthrough video. This rose garden in the grounds of a late Victorian manor house, and you may or may not be able to see. You can just see the chimney there of the manor house just up there. So the location of this playthrough video will become very clear. You may have as we get into it, and here we go. There's the game. This game is Tussie Mussie by Button Shy Games, and let's have a look here. The game is designed by Elizabeth Hargrave, and with art by Beth Sobel. And there's got a solo expansion which we'll be looking at specifically today. So you excuse the airplane, the helicopter flying above. The solo expansion specifically designed by Mike Mullins, and we'll be doing the playthrough of that today. And you can see it's 1 to 4 players. Can take 15, maybe 30 minutes if you're maybe up to 4 players, 8+. And this is a game, the base game or the multiplayer game uses an I split you choose kind of drafting mechanic, and the solo uses 6 additional cards kind of as to be used as our turn cards. Now Tussie Mussie does maybe sound like an unusual name, but Tussie Mussies were part of a Victorian fad for assigning meanings to very specific flowers, and we can see here a couple of the artworks and for the flowers. And here you see we've got a snapdragon flower here, and the meaning we can see just down here. You have deceived me, and this one, the honeysuckle. We are bound by love. So if you wanted to send those kind of messages to friends or loved ones or enemies maybe, you could give them the particular flower, the particular meaning that you wanted. So really interesting concept here that Elizabeth has chosen to base this game around. So we can see here this is going to be a wallet game. The whole game is contained in a wallet. This won't be the final wallet of the game, the final design. This is just a generic Button Shy wallet. The wallet, I believe, is going to be a green wallet in this one, and the wallet will contain 18 cards for the base game, and that's how Elizabeth designed it. And all you have in the game, there's no extra components. You have 18 cards, and they are 18 different cards of different flowers. To play this one-player game, you will need 6 extra cards, and these have been designed by the solo expert Mike Mullins. This is just a print and play, my print and play version. I've just printed it onto card here, and this is unlikely to be the final artwork, graphic design there. Let's have a look at a couple of the cards in more detail. So with the flower cards, there are 5 different suits or colours of cards, and they're either 4 or 3 different flowers per suit. Each suit has a colour, but as you can see here, in terms of accessibility, if you have colour blindness or have issues with seeing particular colours, you can see that every single colour has its own unique design in the background. So you can, so it should be accessible to as many people as possible. As we have a look at the cards, this is a review copy sent to me by Button Shy So again, it isn't their usual production quality. They usually have a linen finish. I definitely will be back in the Kickstarter for this game. The Kickstarter will be opening on May 28th, Tuesday, May 28th of 2019. And to get the physical game will be a $10 pledge. And for that $10, you get the 18 cards. You also get a free 6-card expansion so you can then play the solo game. If you were to want to buy it at retail, you'll then be able to get it on the Button Shy website. But it will be $12 for the base game, and it will be an additional $4 for the expansion. So if you can get in on the Kickstarter, that will be the best way to save that $6. So back to the cards. So each card is a particular flower, and you've got the correct artwork per flower. So very detailed, stunning artwork. I think it's one of the big selling points of this game. I think will be Beth Sobel's artwork. So each card is a flower. And at the bottom here you've got a scoring condition and plus the meaning there. And some cards have these hearts icons on them as well, and that will mean that card will score 1 point plus any of the scoring conditions that it complies with as well. The solo cards have 2 or 3 areas. A top area here, which we'll get into when we start playing, and the bottom area. One of the cards here has this middle area, which is an action. Okay. So just before we get going, you may have heard of the name Elizabeth Hargrave before. She designed the very popular game Wingspan, and also Beth Sobel was one of the artists on that game. So linking up again to produce this great game, and with the solo expert designer Mike Mullins involved as well for the solo. That's why I would get involved. I love the solo games and play 99% of my games solo, so that's why we're getting involved in this one, and it is a great game. So let's get going with the game, so you can see how we can set it up. So first off, we'll set up the game. So just shuffle up all of the flower cards. The solo expansion has the name Flower Shoppe, SHOPPE. It's a nice little play on the words on the Victorian theme. And like I say, you'll get that expansion for free with the Kickstarter. So you'll be able to play this exact game that I'm playing now. We do need to shuffle up these turn cards. Okay, where you place the cards is entirely up to you. I like to place what I call the flower deck over here on the right hand side, and I put the turn deck kind of here on the left hand side. You do need quite a bit of playing, well, not masses of playing space, but this play mat is just a little bit too small, but it's good enough. There we are, we're set up. Like I said, no extra components, no dice, no cubes, no unfortunately no little eggs, coloured eggs, but maybe you could play with little coloured eggs if you wanted to. But we'll get into the game. So and in this game we are aiming to build up a row of flowers to get the most that will give us the most points, and we play the game over 3 rounds. You get 4 turns per round, 3 rounds, and see who has the highest score at the end of the 3 rounds. So let's get going. My opponent is ready, Obviously that's me. So here we go, let's go. So in this game, we flip over this first turn card, and in the top area here it tells us what we need to do. So we need to deal 1 card face up and 1 card face down. And we'll come to this bit placing in just a moment. So we deal 1 card face up, the violet, I will always be true. And the violet is a purple card. Now if I was to take this card and it was part of my hand, I would get 1 point for each purple card, including this one. Okay? And then we're going to do 1 face down. Now it's important in the solo game that I don't look at this card before I choose it. So I now get to choose one of these 2 cards. But I'm not allowed to look at this one before I choose it. Once I've chosen it, obviously I can look at it and see how I can build it into my my collection of flowers. But at the moment, that's a mystery to me. And I take one of these cards and I give the other card to my opponent. So this is where we get to the second half of here. So these cards, when I take these cards, they must remain as they're dealt. Okay, so if I was to take this card, it comes into my hand face up, and that card goes to my opponent face down. If I was to take this card into my hand, into my collection, it would have to stay face down. Obviously I can look at it to see what it is, but when a card is in your collection, if it's face up, we call it a bouquet flower. And if it's face down, we call it a keepsake. Okay, and keepsakes and bouquets may have there may be different scoring implications depending on whether a flower is a keepsake or a bouquet. So I can, in this situation, I can take this card which I know, it will score me, definitely will score me 1 point. And I could give this to my opponent and I won't get to see it until we score. Or I could take this card, take a gamble on the unknown card and give my card, give the violet to the opponent. In this case, let's take a little, the violet could be a good scorer. Purples are one of the suits that do have 4 cards for that suit. So I think it's probably best for me to take that card. Now when you take it, you place it into your kind of tableau, your collection, from left to right. So the next card I take will come to the right of this card, and then to the right and to the right. And again, the position of the card does matter. There are adjacency rules that do matter in this in the scoring conditions, and we'll go through those as we get to them. So that was turn 1 of round 1. Let's go to turn 2. So this time I'm dealing 2 face up. I always like these ones because you know exactly what you're dealing with. And then when we place them, I either place them both face up as bouquet flowers or both face down as keepsakes. I don't really have a choice in that. So we'll deal them face up. We've got the pink larkspur. You are fickle. And before scoring, you may draw 2 cards. If you do, you must replace one of your cards with one of them. Okay, interesting. So that's a useful one if I feel like I've got cards that aren't scoring me very much. And here we go, we've got a forget-me-not. And this is true love. And 1 point for each heart on your adjacent hearts. Okay, and also the heart, when we come to scoring, the heart will just give us a point. Okay, the other thing that I do need to tell you, this is a solo specific rule. Okay, and it refers to this pink larkspur specifically, is if I was to give this card to my opponent, obviously my opponent can't really do the scoring condition. Before scoring you may draw 2 cards and replace and so on. This is known, because it says May, this is known as a Mayflower card in the solo rules. So if my opponent has a Mayflower card, then they get 2 points. So this will give my opponent 2 points. Okay, so I do need to think about that, consider that. Now, in this situation, let's have a look. So the Forget-Me-Not is a purple card. I've got my violet, which gives me 1 point for each card, purple card including this one. Okay, and it has got a heart on it, which will score me a point. But the violet, if I put it here, the violet, it hasn't got any hearts on it. It's adjacent, so I don't get any extra points for that. I would need to then try and get a heart card, the other side of it, to make use of the scoring condition on that Forget-Me-Not. But if I was to give this card to my opponents, they will get 2 points because it's a Mayflower card. So this will give me 2 points, so I gain 2 points at least, and I give them 2 points. I could give that to them and they might not make anything of it other than the heart. So tricky. Let's take it. It's purple, it's got a heart on it, and I'm just going to hope. And if I take it face up, then that means, because of the placements on the turn cards, it means I have to give my opponent the card face up as well. Okay, into turn 3. So I need to deal 1 face up and 1 face down, and here we go. We've got this instruction here in the middle. Before I do the dealing, I need to discard 1 card from the top of the deck face up. Okay, so discard it. So, and then deal 1 face up, 1 face down. So discard the Phlox. Had no effect, but it's got 2 hearts. I could have done with that one, definitely. Okay, so now we're dealing 1 face up. Camellia has got a heart on it, but it's got no effect. You're a flame in my heart. And this one face down. Okay, so interesting. I can take this and it will give me a point. It will give me a point for the heart and a point for this one. So that will give me 2 points. So it'll be 2 points, 3, 4, 5 points. Let's play it safe for this first round, and maybe we might need to start gambling as we get into future rounds. So let's play it safe. So and with the placement on this one, I can either so I can place it into my keepsake or my bouquet, whereas my opponent has to take the card as dealt. I need to place it as it's dealt to them, which again, if I give them that, I won't know what it is. It means my strategy for what I give to them is hampered, because I don't know exactly what they've got or what they're collecting. But I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to take the Camellia, and let's take it face up as a bouquet. There is 1 card in here that has a scoring condition of, if 1 point for every card in your bouquet. So I could gamble on that and gamble whether I get that or not. Place that to them. So last turn of this round, 1 face up and 1 face down, and again place either 2 bouquet flowers or 2 keepsakes. So 1 face up, the honeysuckle, and 1 point for each adjacent card in your bouquet. We are bound by love. And again, it's got a heart here, but that would just give me a point, and because it will go here, it will only have 1 card that's adjacent to it. So it is a bouquet card. I could give it to them, and they won't have any bouquet flowers that are adjacent to it, because this is a keepsake and it nothing to the right hand side of it. So that could be a good one to give to them. And there's the other card face down. So I will give them that card face up, and I will take this card, and it means I have to place it face up. We'll have a look at it as well. Red rose, 1 point for every heart. Brilliant. That's a good one. The red rose obviously means I love you. So, end of round 1. Now we need to score it up. So let's just get these cards out of the way for the minute to score. Now when we score, we position our cards, because we'll have to flip cards over. It would be easy to forget which was keepsakes and which were bouquets. So what we do is we push our bouquet flowers up into the middle, and usually I've got all bouquet flowers in this round, so I would push them up, but if I had some keepsakes they would obviously hang back a bit. Okay, so now we know we've kind of positioned them so we can then flip the cards. So I know that these two cards from my opponent were their bouquet flowers, and these two at the back were their keepsake flowers. So what did they have in the secret cards I didn't know? The amaryllis, 1 point for each card in your bouquet. Okay, so that's given them a couple of points. And this one, the gardenia, 1 point for each keepsake. Okay, so pretty good. We are going to need to score our game. So let's me score first. So the violet, 1 point for each purple card, including this one. So 1, 2 points. Okay, 1 plus 1 point for each heart in your adjacent card. So there's no heart in this violet, which is to the left, but there is a heart in the camellia, which to the right. So an extra point for that. So 2 points plus 1, 3. No effect in this one, and 1 point for every heart. 2 there, so that's 5, and then 6 points for the heart, because I've just have a heart there, and 7 points for that heart. Now 7 isn't too bad a score. So me, I get 7. Now let's count up the opponents. So the amaryllis, 1 point for each card in your bouquet. So they've got 2 cards in their bouquet. Okay. Larkspur, before scoring you may draw. So this is a Mayflower card. So another 2 points for that. So that's 4 points. 1 point for each keepsake, 2 keepsakes. So that's 6 points. And 1 point for each adjacent card in your bouquet. So they haven't got the only adjacent card that's here is a keepsake, so no points for that, but they do get this heart, a point for that heart there. So the opponent gets 7 points as well. Okay, so we've drawn that round. It's a tie, that round, but remember we play over 3 rounds. Now before we move into round 2, we need to set up for round 2. And again, in the solo game, this is a solo specific rule. What we do is we gather up our opponent's flower cards, give them a shuffle. As you can see, I'm no croupier. My shuffling, and we deal our opponent 1 face-up bouquet card, which they have for the next round. So that means they'll end the round with 5 cards to our 4. So the opponent starts to gain a slight advantage as we move through the round. So they've got the amaryllis, which gives them 1 point for each card in their bouquet. Okay, so that means as I'm placing cards, if I can place them, I know if I place it as a bouquet flower for my opponent, then that they get a point for it. So I can start to try and maybe place them as keepsakes if I get the opportunity. Okay, so then we gather up the other 17 cards, shuffle them all up. Split it there, set that up there. I need to reshuffle my turn cards. Okay, and then first turn card. Deal 2 and 2 face-up cards. Great, that's good. I always like those ones. Red tulip, 1 point for each red card, including this one. That one means I love you as well. Okay, so the red rose and the red tulip, both I love you. And here we've got a carnation, and I do not agree. 1 point for each different colour flower. Interesting. Okay, so, and with the placement on these ones, I either place them both as bouquets or both as keepsakes. Okay, so if I give this to them, it's a red card. They've already got a red card. If I give this to them, they've already got a card that's a different colour. So I'm going to give them points either way, and you generally do end up giving points away. What I can do is I'll give it to them as a keepsake, so it's not at least going to give them that. And which one of these would I prefer? Now, if they're going to have 2 red cards, that's going to take reds out of it. The different colour cards are pretty good, as long as I don't get one of the cards that says, you know, as long as they're all the same colour you get points. So I think I'm going to take the carnation. So I'm going to give them the red tulip, and I'm going to take the carnation. I have to take it as a keepsake as well if I'm giving it to them as a keepsake. So, turn 2. Deal 1 face up and 1 face down, but this is a discard one from the top of the deck face up. Okay, so what are we discarding? The Snapdragon. Before scoring, you may move up to 2 of your cards between bouquet and keepsakes, and this is the other Mayflower cards, which would score my opponent 2 points. So that's quite good that that's gone, but that's a really useful card if you end up with cards that you wanted in a keepsake or in a bouquet and they're in the wrong one. So deal 1 face up, the Phlox. No effect, our souls are united, but it's got 2 hearts there, so that would score you 2 points. Okay, and then this one face down. So I can see from my carnation, remember 1 point for each different colour card. So obviously that's a different colour, and it gives me 2 points because of the 2 hearts there. And I don't know what that is to give to my opponents. The opponent stays as dealt. But if I was to give them a red card, but it gives them a keepsake. So I'll take this card and I'll take it face up as a bouquet flower, and I have to give that to them face down. So I don't know what this card is. That one was the 1 point for every red card. So we'll see. So next turn, deal 1 face up and 1 face down, and then place. I either take it as a bouquet and give it to them as a keepsake, or I take it as a keepsake. And cards remain as dealt in this one. Okay, so 1 face up, the marigold. Before scoring, you must discard one of your other cards. Now, this isn't good for me. It means I would only have 3 cards, unless I had the other card where I can discard this one, but it does have 2 hearts in it, so interesting. Although it's the same goldy colour, so I don't think I want that one. So I think I'm going to give that to my opponent. I am giving them 2 points because of those hearts, but it's not going to help me. Listen, flip this one over. Okay, so I've got a hyacinth. 3 points if you have no hearts. Now that's a shame. I have got hearts here, so that went face up, so I have to take this in as a keepsake, but it is a different colour. Okay, so let's see. Last turn this round, 1 face up and 1 face down, and then I get to choose whether I'm gonna take this card as face up or face down, as keepsake or bouquet, and my opponent gets the opposite to me. So let's deal 1 face up, the honeysuckle, 1 point for each adjacent card in your bouquet. Now I haven't got it won't give me an adjacent card in my bouquet. It would give my opponent one in their bouquet, and then this one is face down. So now that's got a heart in it, so you get a point for that. I think I'm going to take this card. Okay, a red rose, 1 point for every heart. Okay, so that'll be useful. I'm going to take that, if I take that as a keepsake, no, if I take that as a bouquet flower, that means my opponent has to take it as a keepsake and they won't score on that, but they will score on the other condition. Okay, so that's the end of round 2. So let's get into scoring round 2. So in this time I have got bouquet and keepsake flowers, so I'm going to reposition the flowers accordingly. Okay, and flip them over. So here we go. So we'll score mine up first. So 1 point for each different colour flower. So I have 4 different colour flowers. That's great. Great start. 4 points. No effect on the phlox, but there are 2 hearts there. So another 2 points. So that's 6 points. 3 points if I have no hearts. I have got hearts, so nothing with that one. And then 1 point for every heart. So another 2 points for those hearts. So that's pretty good. 8 points. 8 points is pretty good. Score that. So I'm currently at 15. So now we need to score the opponent. So 1 point for each card in your bouquet. So they've got 1, 2 there. 1 point for each red card, including this one. So they've got 1, 2. So another 2 points. So that's up to 4. 2 points if you have exactly 2 cards in your bouquet. Ah, dear. So they have actually got 2 points, 2 in their bouquet. So that's another 2 points. So up to 6 points plus the heart there, so 7 points. Before scoring, you must discard at least one of your other cards. So nothing with that score, but they've got the 2 hearts there. So we're up to 7, 8, 9. And then 1 point for each card, adjacent card in your bouquet. So the only adjacent card to honeysuckle is the marigold, and it's in the bouquet. So it has to be adjacent and it has to be in the bouquet. If it was down here, you would not score anything for it because it would be a keepsake. The adjacent card would be a keepsake, but because the adjacent card is a bouquet, they score a point for that. So what are we up to? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So high scoring round there for the opponent. So they're up to 18. Oh, so, and they won that round. Now this time, as we set up for round 3, the third and final round, we deal the opponent 2 cards as a bouquet. So they've got the red tulip here, 1 point for each red card, including this one. Deal them the second one, happens to be the second one, 1 point for each card in your bouquet. So they got that again, those 2 cards, both bouquet flowers, both red, so they're at 4 points already. So let's shuffle these cards up. Shuffle these up, shuffle up these turn cards. Okay, and off we go into round 3. So deal 1 card face up and 1 card face down. And then we place them either both as bouquets or both as keepsakes. So face up, phlox, 2 hearts, no effect. Okay, and this one face down. So I'm going to need to win big in this round, I think. So I'm going to take a gamble. There's no effect in this. It will give the opponent 2 points. 2 points is good. Let's take it, I'll take it and see how we go. And if I take it as a, I don't want to give them another bouquet flower, so if I take it as a keepsake, they take it as a keepsake, and I don't get to look at it. Okay, next card, one face up and one face down, and the cards remain as dealt. Face up, pink rose, 1 point for each pink card, including this one. So what's that? So I have got a pink card already, and that one's face down. So I'm going to take that card, because I've already got a pink one, and I have to deal it as, place it as dealt. Third turn, another face up, face down. If I take it as a bouquet, then I have to give it to them as a keepsake, and the opposite way round. So let's have a look. Gardenia, 1 point for each keepsake. And this one, face down. So, and here we go, we can get a bit of a tactic in here. At least I can know a little bit of extra information about my opponent's cards, because if I take this card, which is dealt face up, but if I take it as a keepsake, the placement rules say that I have to place the second card the opposite way round as a bouquet flower. So that's a pink larkspur, but that's one of the Mayflowers, so that's going to give him 2 points, give them 2 points. So the last turn this round, deal one face up and one face down, discard one card from the top of the deck face up. So Carnation, so now one face up, the Honeysuckle, one face down. Now this Honeysuckle, 1 point for each adjacent card in your bouquet. I've only got a keepsake that's going to be adjacent, so I don't want that card. It would give me a point for the heart, but I need more than 1 point here, so I'm going to take this card, the Peony, 2 points if I have exactly 2 cards in my bouquet. So I'm going to place that as a bouquet flower. And it's pink, which goes with my pink rose here. And the Honeysuckle has to stay as dealt, so that's a bouquet flower. So let's score up this final round. So position our cards. So they had a camellia, no effect, but it does have a heart on it, and the violet, 1 point for each purple card, including this one, so that's only 1 point for that as well. So that made out pretty good with those cards. And here we go. So let's score it up. Let's score them up first, maybe add a little bit of tension, or none at all, as it may be. So 1 point for each red card, including this one. So 1, 2, 3. 1 point for each card in your bouquet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 points already. No effect, but there's a heart there, so that's an 8 points. 1 point for each purple card, including this one. So they've only got 1, so that's 9. Before scoring, you may draw 2 cards, so a May flower card, so that's another 2 points, so that's 11. And 1 point for each adjacent card in your bouquet. So 1 point for that, 12, plus a point for the heart, 13. I'll be lucky to beat 13 points. So let's have a look at this. So 2 points for the 2 hearts there. 1 point for each pink card, including this one. So 1, 2, 3. So that's 5 points up to there. 1 point for each keepsake. 1, 2. So that's 7 points. 2, yeah, 7. and 2 points if you have exactly 2 cards in your bouquet. So 9 points plus the heart, 10. So I mean that was a good scoring round, 10 points, but that puts me up to 25, and that puts my opponent up to 31 points. Completely smashed me, unfortunately. So that is Tussie Mussie from Button Shy Games, designed by Elizabeth Hargrave. The solo mode is designed by Mike Mullins. Plays 1 to 4 players. Kickstarted on May 28th. $10 for the physical game. Usually the print and play is around about $3 if you don't want to pay shipping and you're happy printing and playing your own game there. So thank you for watching. This has been a lovely day in the rose garden, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.